Hello and welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Minton. Today we're back in the Brock Bourbon Bar and we are drinking some Sazerac juice because we're going to discuss the Sazerac RNDC lawsuit, and we're going to, I guess, discuss to see where in our humble opinions is the business going to go? What's it going to look like? How's distribution going to be handled? Is it going to help us lowly bourbon drinkers and all that type of stuff? And we're just going to kind of dive into this discussion and see where we land. And we got Tim on the show today. Tim?
Hey, good morning.
Oh, he woke up.
Welcome.
Can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning. We got Nick.
Hello.
And we got the legend back with us. What's up, Steve?
Greetings again.
All right,
happy
man.
to be here.
I'm always happy to have you here. So, all right. So RNDC versus Sazerac. 38.6 million, I think is what
Somewhere
it was.
in that ballpark.
Supposedly like 2 months
38.
worth of invoicing or something.
I've heard somewhere between 2 and 4 months of invoicing.
Yeah. So what's this going to do? I mean, they've got a new distribution company. They're going to start distributing through them. The RNDC contract ends on February 1st. Are we going to start seeing more juice? What is distribution going to look like? What's it going to do with pricing? What's going to happen? Anybody got a hot take on this?
I think pricing is going to go down.
You think pricing will go down?
Mm-hmm. I really do.
How's that possible?
More stuff on the shelves, more bourbon.
I don't think we're going to see any more bourbon.
Oh, I do. That's my.
That's
my
fine.
pick.
No, listen, I like your I like your thinking. I just don't think you're right.
So part of my scuttlebutt that I've heard about a lot of this, so the reason why there was that separation was because 2 things. One, that RNDC was using some of their people were saying you must buy this or buy a certain amount of this or sell a certain amount of, say, Wheatley vodka, Fireball,
yep.
Along those lines. And then if you hit your marks, we are going to give you more allocations of Pappy, of Weller, of certain things, of
yep.
BTAC,
Yep.
that are there. And I think the second thing is that they're looking at is Sazerac is trying to get more of the market share to sell. So what they're trying to do is probably sell the bottles a little bit higher, and then not have that secondary price of the MSRP go up very much in that. Because the way that I understand it is, from Sazerac to RNDC was almost a 30% cut.
Right.
And then once you go from RNDC to retailer, there's another 30% cut because everybody's got to make money somewhere down this line. And Sazerac was telling RNDC, oh, hey, we want to now flat line, say, price per bottle or price per case, and not a percentage wise. And RNDC, I think, balked back at it, says, no, we want we're making a lot of money off you. We want to keep making this money.
Right.
Why wouldn't we do it? And then that has, besides that, spiraled into Sazerac trying to hire some more marketing style people because apparently RNDC wasn't doing their part of the liquor store displays at the major liquor locations, because
major retailers, yeah.
Yes, because if you've been to a major retailer, in our area, we'll say Total Wine, Liquor Barn. Many times there are many distilleries or brands that will have their own set up displays to showcase that particular brand. And I can really say, I have never seen one for Weller. I've never seen one for Pappy.
There's not enough to go around to do that.
Right.
It'd be a waste of.
And I don't think we're ever going to see
It'd be
it.
like, haha, guess what we once had.
Yeah, look what we had in 2009.
I mean, Buffalo Trace and maybe Saz are the only things I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that's typically only when they really had a store pick sometimes.
Right.
You would see, those type of things. Now, I will say, I mean, back when I got into bourbon originally, I mean, there was Weller everywhere. I mean, there was Pappy on the shelves still, things like that. But, I mean, since maybe 2016? I mean, you probably, Legend, are the one that's been at this the longest with me, probably longer than me. Just, I don't know about the secondary market and things like that. I think I dove in later than you did there. But, I mean, what do you remember as far as that goes?
I think 2016 is a fair
number.
Fair number. I mean, things changed a whole lot
from 2016 to 2018.
18, and then changed again when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And of course, my question really is are RNDC and Sazerac telling the truth?
So
Are the retailers getting the bottles, but not letting them out? Are they?
So
are they keeping them for themselves?
So I think I think all the bottles are going out. I really do believe that. I believe all the bottles. Now I do believe RNDC has a backstock. I do say that. I do believe that they have some stuff that they've not released. Now that being said, I think the majority has been sent out. I think the majority is going to.
Is it going to individual customers, or is it going to?
It's going to the
management.
So, that's the problem, right? So once it gets to the retailer basically decides. And I think there's a large amount of the retailers, especially, some of the cartels and things like that they sell them for a certain price. Some of them sell them directly on secondary. I mean, I've seen guys that I know that own liquor stores that sell bourbon on the secondary market, like just straight up. Like there's no shame in their game. They don't care, or they just put it on the shelf at the crazy prices and they just let it go.
So with that, just to make it more fair, can Sazerac, Buffalo Trace, with the new distributor, for one, I was liking what Nick was saying, because if the new distributor doesn't get 30% and they only get 15%, prices should go down.
No, they won't go down.
And then the second thing
the reason Sazerac is doing this is because they want a bigger piece of the pie. They were tired of RNDC getting 30%. They were only getting 30%. They're like, well, shit, we make it. You're making a piss ton of money off of us by distributing our stuff. So basically, from my understanding, was they went back to RNDC. They wanted them to take a haircut. They wanted them to basically go from 30% to 25%. That way they could take the 5%, hire the additional people to do the marketing and the other things that they wanted to do. And then in that way, it would give a break back to the retailer and keep it back.
So what would be nice is if they also had like an enforcement wing, and they found these liquor stores that immediately they get a bottle of Pappy's and they mark it up to $2,500 or whatever. And then they say, hey, distributor, don't give them any more because they're screwing up the
I think
price.
That's what all these places need to do. They need to do a better job of policing it. But the problem is that by legal reasons, when you say MSRP, right, it just says that's the manufacturer's suggested retail price.
Oh, yeah, but
it's just like a car.
They could
right?
say mark up. What do you mark up your regular alcohol sales?
Right.
20%?
20, 30%. 20, 30% is pretty much standard.
So if it's 50% markup, then they could say, hey.
Yeah, they could, but they're not. That's the problem. They don't have anybody to police it. It's too big. And then they're going everywhere, right? Like they're getting bottles. I mean, you'd literally have to send out a Sazerac TTB officer or whatever, but who knows what that looks like, Listen, I wish that was the case. I wish they would make them, but what's going to keep Bill Jones that owns Liquor Store A from just calling his buddy Steve saying, hey, come buy this for, $99.99, and then we'll sell it together on the secondary market and we'll split the profit.
I don't know.
I mean, because really, it's just too hard to police. It just really is.
Yeah, there's no way, because, I mean...
The better question is when does the police come in and try to drown the secondary market? When is somebody going to get arrested in Kentucky for selling a bottle on secondary, meeting somebody at Total Wine or whatever pickup point?
Well, they had that thing at Justin's where Kentucky came in.
Yeah, but that's different. They were checking the vintage spirits law and the provenance law that comes with that vintage spirits rule.
Right, and I don't think they were keeping the proper logs the way that I was understanding it, because the thing was that people were bringing, they were trying to be a secondary reseller.
Right.
So people, like individuals were bringing in these vintage bottles or allocated bottles to them to sell, and the way that I understand it, they weren't keeping the proper records of how much they were paying for it and then reselling it for. So because they didn't keep those records proper, that is what got them into that trouble.
All right. While we're talking about Sazerac, we're drinking some Sazerac juice. First one we're sipping on is going to be some old Eagle Rare 10-year.
I hope that stays 10 years.
Just
as long
to
as
get
possible.
Just to get back to the police issue.
Yep.
I know a Kentucky State trooper who sells on the secondary. So,
oh, yeah. I know tons of police officers that sell on the secondary market. Tons of them. Tons of them. So I can probably name 15 of them right now that sell secondary.
What kind of enforcement you're going to get.
That's what I'm saying,
It would be coming more from an ABC style thing.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, like the cost, it's just not worth it. They're not losing that much in tax revenue that it's going to make up that big of a difference where they can afford to pay somebody to do it. Eagle Rare, man.
Grapes.
Caramel, grapes.
Oh, this is like grape juice for me.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Smooth, doesn't need a chaser.
That's just a solid pour.
Straight, no chaser. Isn't that one of those acapella groups?
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah, there is. It's been a while since I've heard that.
I think they're from IU, if I remember correctly. They were all IU boys. They came from their program there.
But yeah, no, Eagle Rare is probably one of my personal favorites.
You know, I used to not be a big Eagle Rare fan. It's funny, but the more I've drank it over the last, I'm going to say 18 months, like I'm really, really appreciating the rich oak that comes out of these things. A little bit of caramel, some rich oak. What about you, Legend? What do you got on this?
I just love the mouthfeel. There's a nice finish. Not a somebody said a pat on the back, not a hug.
Yeah, the perennial pat.
I mean, you just can't go wrong with it.
No, it's definitely a solid pour for sure.
And for me, it's not like it's a very heavy linger, but it's a slow linger. Very like medium light linger, but it's so good.
Stop! You're gonna make me sing cranberry songs.
Don't let it linger.
That's right.
Do you have to? Do you have to let it linger? All right, we got OWA coming up next, but Sazerac RNDC. So what? I can't believe I just forgot. What's the name of the new company that's going to be doing distribution for them?
Kentucky Eagle.
Kentucky Eagle.
In
That's
Kentucky.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know about Indiana.
But
Yeah.
I think there's some other ones.
I know there's multiples nationwide.
Yeah.
But
I don't want to say that's there's the larger part of that is supposed to be. It's not Southern Tier, but it's like a Southern.
So Southern Glacier is not going to pick up any of their routes, is
Okay.
from what I've heard. So like they are strictly moving to smaller independent distributorships. So my question is how is that going to affect the brands that are already carried by those other brands? So let's just say Kentucky Eagle or whatever it's called in Kentucky, right? How the brands that they already are distributing, let's just say they distribute some ready to drink canned cocktail. Let's just call it Rotor Rig or something like that. That's a Rotor Rig is a cider, but it's a ready to drink cider or whatever. Let's just say that they're selling that, right? Are people going to feel obligated to buy those other products in order to get more Sazerac juice because the distributor is going to be like, oh man, we've got this great new product now. I wonder how that's going to work.
You know, it all depends because I mean, I think there's always. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that I wonder how if they're more trusting of the smaller distributor to try to. I know I just butchered that again.
Distributor.
Yes. But, you know, I wonder if they're trying to put more faith in the smaller guy to get their product out that maybe RNDC wasn't quite accomplishing. They were to where they were possibly hoarding more stuff.
Yeah. No, I would think that they probably have more leverage as far as a price point, but I also will say I think that they will use that to their advantage as far as making sure distribution goes to certain people. I also think that we may see an influx of smaller stores getting less allocated bottles because they do price gouge.
I would hope so, at least for the ones that do. I mean, you know, before some of the cartel places came in, there was a number of places in southern Indiana that if they did get something, it was maybe priced $5-10 over, which is not bad. I'll say, you know what, you know, over MSRP, which is, I mean, I would say that the stores need to have a small cut at some level, but not like double, triple, you know, the MSRP.
If their typical markup is 25 to 30%, and they go to 30 to 40%, I'm okay with that. It's when you start hitting 100, 200, 220%, and you're like, man, you know, it just seems crazy when you look at those aspects of it.
Absolutely.
OWA, was this a Merrill's pick? Whiskey pick?
This pick was from during COVID. Merrill's Whiskey Kitchen had done a small release of a OWA and then a 1 liter Buffalo Trace single barrel picks. And this was to help fund some of their servers in their kitchen to be able to make it through a lot of the COVID closure.
Oh, yeah.
So this is one of those things that I went in. I okayed with Barbara to purchase because it was a little pricey. It was $250 for the combo,
Right.
But
You got this and Buffalo Trace, right?
Huh?
This and Buffalo Trace?
Yes,
Okay.
Buffalo Trace 1 liter.
Yep.
And it was to a good cause. It was to kind of help their servers and kitchen people stay afloat during this time period.
Man, I love OWA.
that
It just-
107.
That dude, it just hits right to me.
You probably had, you got $200 worth of stuff for $250. So it's
It's not bad.
not a bad deal.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad deal whatsoever,
Yeah,
but
especially when you're helping in that situation.
absolutely, it was going to a good cause. Yeah, the little sticker on the back, I think of this one, is showing the serving staff on the back.
You can't go wrong.
It looks
with-
like, does it say girls, girls, girls like Motley Crue?
Yes, it is. It pass it on down, but yes,
Girls.
yeah, it's like literally like a picture of the Motley Crue.
Oh,
but
that is so funny. And they got
put-
the girls' faces on there.
Yes,
Too cute. All right. Yeah, dude, these things, man, that weed, it's got so much niceness to it, man. A little bit of caramel, a little vanilla, some nice oak. OWA just hits good. It's one of those funny things is I was a Weller 12 guy for years, and then that lower proof just didn't hit right. Then I started drinking OWA, man. But I thought that I would like full proof even better, but I don't. It's still OWA for me.
I'll agree with that because
I think OWA is a sweet spot.
Yeah, I do too. I think that 107 is much more sweet than that 114, but I think it's got the right amount of proof. Whereas the Weller 12, even though it's got great oak flavor and lots of rich caramel to it, it just lacks.
coming in light.
Comes in light, yeah.
The thing about 12 and WSR to me is they're just too easy to drink.
They are.
You don't appreciate what you're tasting because they go down so easy. So
They're
fast.
crushable.
Yeah, so I was about to
For
say they fall into that crushable contact where you're just sitting there, just slam one back, pour another. It's almost like you're taking shots, which you don't really want to do these as shots. But
no.
Yeah.
No, Hancock's is probably the most crushable of all of them. Like at 88.6, man, oh my God, those things go down, and they're so delicious.
And they're so small.
They are. They're still 750s. They're still 750s. They're just an
Little
odd shaped
squatters.
bottle. The little squat bottles. Yep. All right, the last one, which to me, it's quickly becoming one of my favorite Sazerac products, honestly. And I think it's because I've gone so much on the rye side that I love rye. Is the Sazerac rye. Is this a store pick or is this just a standard bottle?
This one is just a standard baby Saz.
Baby
rose.
Saz. So these are what, 5 to 7 year old blends, I think.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
And then I
yeah.
think the handies are like 7 to 8 years, and then the next one is obviously the Saz 18, which is obviously 18 years.
And then the backtrack, obviously, the Eagle Rare is 10. The Weller OWA is
6 to 8.
6 to 8. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
then this is 5 to 7. Okay.
Yeah, 5 to 7. Yeah. So
Now, one of my friends has frequently goes down to Austin, Texas,
okay,
and
is there a Sazerac house down there like New Orleans?
it's not a Sazerac house, but
Okay.
apparently it's associated with Sazerac because he comes back with like a bunch of 1.75s of the
Oh.
baby Saz
All right,
down there.
the
So
big fat boys, huh?
Oh yeah. So I can always get a hold of one of those if I ever need to because he kind of travels down there. But it's one of those things of like going if I need to get a hold of one, I can. It's good.
It's like baby Huey's.
Yeah. So I love rye. Everybody knows that. And I love an MGP because I love that 95.5. Kentucky rye is just hit a little different. And that's one of the reasons why I think the more and more I drink this, the more and more I really enjoy it, is because it's got so much richness because of that corn and malt that comes through on these.
Yeah, and you get just a light floral. It's not a heavy. It's not very pronounced, but it's it's like a light hover.
Yeah.
It like hits it and then goes away.
Some honeysuckle, some nice caramel notes, just a little bit of like light tobacco. Like these things they hit well.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is that if you can, buy these, the price at MSRP is
$29.99, $39.99.
about 20 between 25 and 29 for the rye.
Right.
You got $39.99 for the OWA.
Yeah, $39.49.
You
Yeah.
get it. And then about between 32 and 35
On the Eagle Rare.
on the Eagle Rare.
Eagle Rares have really popped, back, not even 4 or 5 years ago, Eagle Rares, 24, 25.99 pretty regularly. Then they went to 29. Now they're jumping up again. So what you were saying something about the Saz, Stephen.
Well, I was just going to say I really find a beautiful sweetness to this.
Yeah.
It's,
Absolutely.
It's not a spicy rye, but it's a very sweet rye, very approachable.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
kind of lingers and
it lingers. I mean, you don't get that really baking spice type rye. It's a very light, floral, sweet area to where you, as you were saying, kind of like that honeysuckle area.
Yeah, 100%. A little bit of honeysuckle, some of that sweet caramel, a little bit of brown sugar. I mean, it's just it does. It has so much to it, but it's so light and refreshing too for a rye. It's so smooth.
First time tasting, awesome taste. So
That's your first time having a Sazerac rye?
Believe it or not,
Man, oh man, we popped Tim's Sazerac rye cherry. We like it.
You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
That's right. Can teach a dog.
No, the question is, how are you liking it?
He really liked it.
I'm usually not a rye guy unless it's Scott would tell you it's the higher ryes that kind of mellow out. But this is a very good taste.
Yeah.
Very good taste.
Yeah.
And I like the floral. It's sort of sweet for me.
Yeah. No, it's definitely sweet. It's definitely got some sweeter undertones for sure. So back to Saz, RNDC, Eagle, whoever's going to distribute this stuff moving forward. Do we have any?
I think that there is a hope that people will be seeing a lot more allocated stuff. Do I think it's going to go on the shelf? Probably not. But I think that if we can get more out, that it has more frequency to be able to hit that shelf. Because if it's still being held back for allocation of, hey, you must buy this X amount to get there, it's not even making it to those retailers.
So I think part of the problem that's happened for us is we used to get a larger chunk of the allocation being in Kentucky/Indiana. And as Sazerac has grown, bourbon has grown, more and more states are buying more of their products, right? And in order to be fair, I think they've sent a lot more to Wisconsin and to Idaho and to Seattle and things to that nature. So I think we'll actually end up seeing about the same amount. I just hope that we see it at a closer to MSRP because I'm hoping that they will police and not allow smaller stores to price gouge. So by sending more to Total Wine or more to Cox's and more to Nulu. Now that being said, I feel like Liquor Barn and Cox's and Total Wine have all gotten more greedy with their price points. Like they've all raised their price point to more of that 35 to 40% market range. Because they used to be, like I said, like you said, $39.99 for OWA, $24.99 for that. But now you're seeing them more at like, instead of $24.99, it's $29.99. Instead of $39.99, they're $49.99.
Right.
I think there's a fourth player in here, at least for our area, being Kroger. At least in the Kentucky side.
Kroger's been the only one that has stayed steady.
Right. So they've kept that price point where it should be.
And Costco, too, and Sam's Club, they've kept the prices down.
But Costco and Sam's Club gets nowhere near the distribution.
Oh, no, I get that. But that's what I like. The state-run liquor stores that they have in Ohio, you can get a Weller Special Reserve for $22.
Right.
When it goes to Liquor Barn, I think it's $37 is what I paid last time.
Yeah, that
there.
sounds about right.
And they put it out and it's gone.
Right.
Yep.
I will say I at least like the fact that they do one a day per person. At least they try to. I'm sure there's people like me that I've done some dumb stuff where I went and put a hat on, a jacket, and bought stuff.
No, the worst ones are the ones that put the bottles back with the wine and then they send their buddy in afterwards.
Or they bring their grandmother and mother and
wow, that feels like a hot take on somebody in particular.
Wheel him in on a wheelchair. Come on, Grandma, we gotta get this bourbon.
Wow.
You know what happens.
At least they're not rolling in their kids.
Oh, dude. So funny you said that. The day that we were all in the group chat, we were talking, and one of the local vintage spirits guys was releasing the 12-year 101s, right? I go there, and there's literally, I'm probably like maybe 10th or 12th in line, and there's like 4 people that roll up in line behind me, and then all of a sudden, this lady and her husband and their 2 kids are in strollers. They literally drive the kids in with the strollers into Neat to buy this bourbon. So
Nick, have
I
you
thought
ever
that was
done
kind of
that?
funny.
No, I am not.
I'm joking.
No.
We see Noah in there all the time. It's like, yeah. It's like, give me some of that. Barbara's got a serious look on her face.
Interesting, a little aside. I do work at a liquor store, and earlier this month, the RNDC rep came in and said they had some bottles they were having to move out because they were losing the contract. And We got a Weller Special Reserve.
Ooh.
Oh,
Wow.
praise. They probably put this up on a little shelf saying, hey, we have this green label Weller Reserve.
I'll buy it.
We'll offer it to you for $100.
So I will tell you this. So some of the things that those distribution companies do is a buddy of mine works for Republic National, and their annual like parties they have, like I think it was not this past year, but the year before, like they had still a couple of cases of ancient age tenure that they gave out to their workers for, like prizes for different things and raffles and things like that at their annual Christmas party. And ancient age 10 years has been gone for what, 4 years now, 5
At
years?
least, yeah.
I mean,
So how do they have
Ballpark
it?
around that.
never released it. Never
Exactly.
sent it out to a liquor store. So my question is, I'm still curious to see how that looks with them not having a contract as of February 1st. How much flooding will we see to some of the larger stores to be like, hey, here Kroger, here Total Wine, here Liquor Barn, here Cox's, and see what goes out.
Honestly, I think we just recently saw that at Liquor Barn with their big release.
I think they still have tons.
Oh, no, I'm not denying
I
that.
mean,
But I think that
one was what, 80 bottles, the other one was 90. I can't
Yeah.
believe that that's all the
Right.
Pappy and BTAC they had for an entire year.
Oh, no.
That seems low.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, do you think that Republic had to give the rest of the bottles to the new distributors?
No,
So
they've already
they
bought
still
it.
have them.
They've already bought it, but they haven't paid for it. They bought it.
And
that's part of the lawsuit.
That's
They
part of the
haven't paid for
lawsuit.
it.
and they have a certain date that they're probably going to be given by a judge that you have to get rid of all this by a certain date.
No,
February
no.
1st.
Well, no. Look at
They
it this
lose
way.
distribution on February 1st. How can you sell something that you don't have distribution for?
No,
Yeah.
but the thing is, what I think is they're going to pay the money, they're going to keep it, and then maybe do secondary.
How, you can't do it.
Yeah, the federal government wouldn't allow you
Yeah.
to do that.
It has to be a 3-tier system.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be the retail tax paid.
Well, then how are they giving away the H&H at their parties?
Huh?
Ah,
they
that's
pay the
why they got in
have
trouble.
to they have to pay the tax. They do have to they would have to pay the tax on it, but you
Yeah.
can't sell it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't have any profit margin in that, because they just kept it back. But I don't know.
All I can say is thank you. I love Buffalo Trace products, and I was very happy with this Sazerac.
Yeah. So, well, I think that's our discussion for today. Are we going to pick a winner? I think it's kind of
tough.
hard to pick a winner because you had a rye up against two bourbon. Well, actually, you got a rye versus a wheater versus a bourbon.
Yeah, I think it's too hard to. I mean,
It's not hard for me. I can pick my favorite.
well,
I have no trouble.
all right.
I can't.
Well, I mean,
mean-
outside of some of the like GTS and some of the BTEC stuff, wouldn't you say that these would be one of the three mainstays of each of those different mash bills?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. So you have the Buffalo Trace mash bill, you have the rye mash bill, and you have the wheat mash bill. Yeah. The only thing we're missing is mash bill number 2, the low rye.
The low rack.
Elmer T, Blanton's, Hancock's, all those. That's the only one we're missing out of this
We're not
flight.
missing that much.
I would argue to say I love Hancock's. I really like Ancient Age. Both of those are in that other mash bill. Rock Hill Farms is in that mash bill.
I'm about to say that's one I haven't had yet that I'm hoping to try here relatively soon.
So
Amen, brother.
so
I want to try that one. I've tried some Elmer T. Lee, and I really like that.
Elmer's in that mash bill. So
Yeah,
yeah.
so I can honestly say now that I've had the Sazerac rye, I haven't had the BTAC ryes, but very good pour. They're all, I can't pick a one I like more than the other.
All right, I'm gonna go. Number 1 Weller, number 2 Eagle Rare, and I'm gonna say Sazerac number 3. That's my order.
I'm good with all three.
The only thing I'm going to switch is that I love my Eagle Rare, so that's going to get 1 Weller 2 and then Saz 3.
All right, Legend,
I'm with you, sir.
here with me. Weller, Eagle
Weller,
Rare,
Eagle Rare,
Saz.
Saz.
Yep. All right. So we got at least 2 out of 4 because actually really 2 out of 3 because Tim just defaulted.
I did. I'm weak.
None of them are bad.
No,
absolutely.
no, they were all
Yeah,
delicious
sure.
pours for sure.
In their own different way. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. They all hit different in their own way, and they're all perfectly good in their own way. So if you want to find Bourbon Barrel Talk, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter. You also can make sure you hit the subscribe button whenever those podcasts are dropped, either via Spotify or iTunes, however you get it. You can email us any questions at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. This is Scott, Tim, Nick, and the Legend signing off. Peace.